Pumps, there are many things that I will never get over as it pertains to convicted felon, Donald Trump, felon in chief.
Yeah.
But one thing that just amazes me is that he stole the classified documents when he lost the race after he and his toddlers threw a temper tantrum at the state capitol. And he took them to the Roach Motel Mar-a-Lago and stored them and coveted them and loved on them. And then the government's like, hold up, those are ours, give them back. And he doesn't. And it takes 18 months or something.
18 months before they pursued legal action against him. But I don't think he would have given it then.
So it just amazes me, because if the roles were reversed and Barack Obama took documents when he left the White House in 2016, the Trump administration would have arrested him.
Oh, yeah.
And physically gotten the documents back, and then completely interrogated anybody and everybody that was around these classified documents, a lot of them pertaining to military action and military secrets, national security things. So, you know, Jack Smith did an investigation into this, and the report exists. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we need that report.
I do too. And Judge Aileen Cannon has said, no, it can't be released. And Merrick Garland agreed because there's two co-defendants that their cases are still pending. Here's my thing. They're guilty as fact. Everybody knows they are. They're going to be convicted and then pardoned by Trump. So let's just release the report. And if it means dismissing the case against them, that's fine, because they're not going to have accountability anyway, because Trump is not going to allow it. Judge Aileen Cannon is not going to allow it. So who cares at this point? Let's see the report. And it reminded me when you were talking about how he took national secrets, classified documents to the Roach Motel. Do you remember Cassidy Hutchinson said that Mark Meadows was burning paper in his fireplace?
Yes.
And Maggie Haberman reported that Trump would write stuff on Sharpies that was supposed to go to the National Archives, and he would flush it down the toilet, and they had to unclog the toilets. Remember that?
Yeah.
So this is a man who has zero respect for classified documents. National security. He doesn't give a shit about the rules. My concern is, will Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, who are just blatantly incompetent, will this report disappear forever? Will even history be able to view this report?
I mean, surely there's somebody that is in or around Jack Smith that is going to get this and keep this and link it to a reporter for the sake of democracy.
You would think so. You would think so. I don't understand why Biden hasn't just released it and said, kiss my ass. The Supreme Court said I was immune.
I think you're right. I think they should drop the charges against the co-defendants, because they're never going to be held accountable.
No.
Trump wants to release all the January 6 people that beat up cops. So we're going to be, in a no justice whatsoever era when Trump is ushered in. And I think then Biden releases it and says, kiss my ass. I'm immune.
I think so too. But to this point, I haven't seen any indication that he's willing to do that. He's still, days before he leaves office, playing integrity politics when fuck you politics has won the day. There's no question about it. You can't argue that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Hopefully we'll see it. That Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, the number one, Trump is going to have them on the shortest of leashes, very similar to the leash that Elon Musk has on Trump.
Right.
So it's going to be that type of leash. And Elon will be like, oh, yeah, Donald has his pet projects. He works on the revenge tour. Meanwhile, me and my Broligarchs are getting what we want. And so I think that this is a way that the people who are seeking a really evil type of power, Trump seeks petty power.
Right.
He seeks power that feeds his ego, and so that he can go on a revenge tour. Zuckerberg, Bezos, Musk, these people seek really dark power that is going to have a very long arc to it. And so I see this playing out as them telling Trump, oh yeah, get up all in there. Yeah, investigate Jack Smith, investigate MSDNC and all the shit that Trump likes to say, because it'll keep him distracted.
Right.
And he loves that type of petty fight. And then Elon Musk and far more nefarious people are going to be doing far more evil things that are going to impact the very base that elected this man after he was found guilty of all of these felonies.
Well, and I think that the interesting part to me is I see Elon Musk as crazy. I see them as evil, absolutely. But I do not see them as incompetent. What I feel like...
I think Elon is incompetent, and I'll tell you why.
Because of the drugs.
Well, and look at what Twitter was before.
Right.
And look at what it is now. That is incompetence. That is complete incompetence. And I think that there is this horrible thing that happens in America where we equate wealth with intelligence. And so people often say, Elon Musk is very intelligent. And I have to go back and go, is he? What did he personally invent? What did he personally do? Like, I don't know that that's the case. I mean, I just genuinely don't know that. I've heard him speak. He doesn't sound super smart to me. Has he been successful?
Right.
Yes, but oftentimes success doesn't equate to intelligence, and I'll tell you exactly how I know that. We live in an oil and gas production state, and as an interior designer, I have done work for a lot of oil and gas people who are able to go out and say, let's drill here, and they have hundreds of millions of dollars. They are dumber than a box of hot rocks. I'm like, if this isn't skirting the system, I don't know what is. And I'm not saying that's Elon, but I think Elon Musk is not competent.
Well, I tend to agree with you, particularly with all the ketamine drug-fueled rants he does on Twitter. I mean, but here's the thing. That group is more organized, in my opinion, more competent than the Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Donald Trumps of the world. Pete Hegseth.
So stupid.
I mean, these people, the only thing that will step in their way is their dipshits. They do not have the capacity to long-range plan, to play the tape through, consequences. I mean, so that is a little spark of hope. I feel like the other side, the billionaire tech bros, they're far more diabolical.
They're way more diabolical.
So they worry me more than these people in power.
And then you get into this shit with Elon where he talks about falling birth rates. And he just, he's there and he wants to populate Mars. And it's like when somebody says, yeah, it's rumored that he trips on ketamine all the time. And then you hear what his ambition and his goals are. It's like, oh, okay. And then you have these other oligarchs, Bezos, who's so jealous that Musk got there first and how quickly he bent the knee because he wants rockets and all this other penile, enlarging, phallic type things to present to the world. Tim Cook, I was really disappointed in. He's gay. Now, I know that Apple did not do away with their DEI program. Mark Zuckerberg, I just want to review for everybody what a pussy this guy is. So Facebook was originally founded to rank the hotness of females, okay? And I'm not going to be too judgmental about that. He was pumped with testosterone 19, 20-year-old. If my son did that, I would be profoundly disappointed. But I'm not saying this is so outside of the box for a 19-year-old to come up with such an idea. Do I like it? No. Is it misogynist? Yes. But it's not like I'm going to sit over here and clutch my pearls. So then Facebook becomes what it is, and he is at the gay pride parades. He has fact checkers at some point after they realized how dangerous it was to not have them. He has a DEI program, and he seems to be moving, along, progressing. I'm not saying he's not a selfish, son of a bitch, billionaire, blah, blah, but that's where he was. He banned Donald Trump from all of his platforms. And then the second Trump wins, He donates $1 million, flies his PJ down to the Roach Motel, and he is going to be sitting on the stage at the inauguration. And this is what I hate, is that you're at a gay pride parade and you live in California and you seem to kind of get like, you know, who gives a shit about all this stuff? And then you go into a tent with a man that's a convicted felon, with all of these weird, crazy ass Christian nationalists. And then, you know, he's clearly all of the marginalization of the trans community. Because let's face it, MAGA talks about the trans community. There's 3 entities that talk about trans people far more than trans people talk about themselves. And it is MAGA, J.K. Rowling, and bizarrely now Bill Maher.
Yeah.
It's like outside of that, outside of those 3 things, we have a friend that has a trans daughter who does not talk about it as much as MAGA people do.
Absolutely not.
It's really, really weird.
She wants to have a healthy, happy life for her daughter.
Right.
And they want to destroy. And it's gross. But I think something you said to me in private, I think bears repeating.
Are you telling my secrets?
No.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But you know, Michelle Obama's not going to the inauguration. Nancy Pelosi's not going to the inauguration. The 3 former presidents said they'll go to the inauguration, but they're not going to go to Trump's lunch. And you said the women have more conviction. And when you said Mark Zuckerberg's going to be on the stage with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
They have more balls. They have more convictions.
The women do.
The women do.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think when you said that, it really was like, you know what? You're right. When you look around, who came out against Trump, testified before Congress, Cassidy Hutchinson. Where are these men? Mike Johnson's bending over, taking it up the ass because he's so dumb. I mean, he is a dipshit. You know, the alpha male, Pete Hegseth.
It is.
Cash Patel. I mean, these guys.
Well, and this is what pisses me off about Zuckerberg Pumps. This is what pisses me off about him so much. He goes on Joe Rogan and talks about masculine energy being neutered. And I think that's an interesting thing to say. Number one, masculine energy, and then talking about being neutered, like your balls being cut off. Like, nobody who lives in the modern world thinks this. Like, these are all of these constructs that live within MAGA and on Fox News.
Right.
Where Jesse Waters is always talking about, does a real man suck out of a straw? Jesse, real men don't sit around and think about other men sucking on things.
Right.
You do, Jesse. That's what's so fucked up about the whole thing. When all of these men in MAGA, and I believe this with everything in me, I think that there is some bi-curious, closeted bi-curious, a lot of it going on in MAGA, or closeted gay shit. And what I mean by this, they're so consumed with proving their masculinity.
Right.
And Zuckerberg talking about masculine energy being neutered. Like, if you really knew a genuine alpha male that stood up for everybody in their lives, that stood up against bullies, they don't have to talk about masculine energy. In fact, that would never come out of their mouth because they're not thinking about it. They're just being authentic to who they are.
Right.
But I think a lot of these MAGA men, probably when they were hormonal teenagers, did a literal circle jerk, which is not that uncommon for teenage boys to experiment with one another. And then they have all this religious shame from it, right?
Right.
And then they start watching porn, and then they're turned on by the guy in the porn and maybe his penis, and not so much about, with the woman and her boobs. And there's this bi-curiosity that they feel emasculates their heterosexuality. And so then they attack it all the time. And so when I heard Zuckerberg, I saw the clip on Rogan, I'm like, number one, that's such a turnoff. Like, to me, that screams, I am not very masculine, so I'm compensating.
Right. That's right.
Did you see the clip? Did you take it as that?
Yes. But this whole movement, that's all they talk about.
Yeah.
Is being alpha male. And they're getting younger and younger and younger. And I think a lot of it is just straight up misogyny.
You know what? You talk about them being younger. I was thinking about this last night. And this is really dark and daunting to think about. But I'm thinking about our kids' generation of boys and the world that they have come of age into in the Trump era. Because even when Biden was in office those 4 years, he kind of governed silently. Right. Where Trump still championed all the headlines. So it's been, for a decade now, misogyny on full parade. And I started thinking about, like, 10 years from now, the crimes against women.
Oh, yeah.
As this generation, Gen Z, is in their 20s, to 30s, I bet there's an uptick.
There's got to be, because the Andrew Tates of the world.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. I feel like there's going to be an uptick in rape, sexual assault,
Violence.
Workplace harassment. I feel like it is I feel like we're taking 2,500 steps back.
No, I completely agree. 1,000% agree. It's gross.
All right, we're fucked, and we'll see you guys later.
That's our new call in.
It's so